up, everybody? My name is Zach with Android Digest, and I've got to be honest, I feel a little bit like an idiot. I actually started off my review and I did about 20 minutes of video, and I had my shirt sort of looking all weird like this, and then I watched the video later, and I'm totally redoing everything, wasting a whole bunch of time, including this explanation. So please watch this video, like and subscribe to my page. And yeah, I want to bring you something different today. I want to review the LG G7. Now, that's been out about a year, so you're probably wondering, why in the world am I reviewing this now? Well, let me tell you. So, the G7 has been out about a year, and because of that, the price has decreased pretty dramatically on the used market. In fact, you can get LG G7 around $150, $160 on eBay in, I would say, B plus condition. So you can get a LG G7 in pretty good condition for a really good price right now. And even if you find it new, you might find it on sale in some places. Maybe you find it for $300 somewhere. And with this processing power, I totally think it's worth it. I bought this phone about 3 different times, so I really wanted to make this review, help you decide for yourself if it's worth keeping in 2019. Is it worth buying in 2019? I just wanted to give you some pros and cons and walk you through it. So let's get this review started. So here we have the LG G7, and the first thing I want to do is I want to take off my case, and I really want to give you a quick look at the device. Now, on the bottom of the device here, we have a USB-C port, and we have a speaker here. We also have a headphone jack, which is very refreshing to see. We also have on the left side, you might mistake this for a power button, but it's not. It's actually a Google Assistant button, and you can turn that off in the settings because I find myself pressing it like it's a power button all the time. So you can turn that setting off, so you can use it for something else. So that being said, you have that here. You have up and down on the volume as well. Now on the top of the device, you do have a micro SD card slot. It also is a SIM card slot as well. And you have on the right side a power button. So keep that in mind. It's on the right side of the device, not the left side there. Now, with the device, one thing you're going to notice here is you're going to notice this notch right here. So there is a notch. I know a lot of people don't like notches. If you don't want a notch, especially one that big, you can go into the settings and it'll actually just create a black line on top there for you. And that should resolve that for you. So yeah, it's a pretty nice looking phone overall, and it's actually really light and easy to carry, so I enjoy that as well. Now, let's start with the display. Let's get going here and talk about what's good about the device and what's bad and everything like that. So the display is one of the best parts of the LG G7. It's very beautiful, it's crisp, it's got good colors, and the resolution is fantastic on it. In fact, the resolution is 3120 by 1440. So a very good resolution on this screen. And when you compare it to devices like the Galaxy S9 and other devices in the flagship category, it actually compares very well, and it's a very beautiful screen. And it's great for reading. It's great if you're watching videos and things like that. You're going to enjoy it. And one unique thing when you're watching videos, and I'll mention this later, is this speaker. It's a little unique as far as the qualities that it has. So I'll get into that a little bit. But I would say the display is great. It's 6.1 inches, so it's just the right size for me. And if you're from the Galaxy Mega era with these 6.3-inch phones that are like this big, you'll wonder how 6.1 inches is so small, and that's because there's no bezels. There's very small bezels, I should say, on each side, so you could fit a lot more screen real estate on a smaller device. So 6.1 inches is nice. It's a lightweight phone, and again, reading and things like that, things look good. Now, some of you might think this is actually a little small when you compare it to devices like the Galaxy Note 10 Plus and things like that today. So keep in mind, if you want a device that's like almost 7 inches. There are some slightly bigger devices out there, but this is still a pretty big device and something that I still enjoy using, especially for the display. It is beautiful. Now, the other great thing about this device is the performance. So this is a beast of a performer. It is with a Snapdragon 845. Now, the Snapdragon 845 is not the latest processor, right? Because this phone came out a year ago. So it was on the latest processor at the time, the latest Android prodigy of a processor. And it was definitely a good processor at the time. It's very quick. It was a good upgrade from the Snapdragon 835. And this phone is no different. It is definitely a very fast device. Now, you might be wondering, because you might not even care about this processor nonsense. Maybe you're just an average human being. You just wonder how fast it is. And I'll tell you, your average person, you're not going to notice a big difference between this phone that was a year ago and the Snapdragon 855. Now, some of you techies out there definitely will, and trust me, I'm a techie, and I enjoy the latest and greatest processors. So I will see a little bit of a difference here and there, but it's honestly very minimal. So for you, if you're looking for a device and you want a very fast device, this is a great option. It has 4 gigabytes of RAM. Now, there are some models that do have 6 gigabytes outside of the US, I believe. But this version has 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage. And it performs very well for most things. I mean, it's very quick. It's very smooth. It's going to do pretty well with gaming as well. And especially when you're buying it used and you're trying to find it for 150, 160 bucks used, and you're comparing it to phones, let's say like the Moto G7. I bring that phone up a lot, but it's really that king in the mid-range category at $300. Should you spend $300 on that, or should you spend $150 on this? Yes, it's a year old and it has some kinks. It might have some scratches on it, but for 150 bucks or so, you could find this LG G7 that is a much better performer and has a much better display. It also has NFC for Google Pay. It has all these fancy features that you wouldn't find, like water resistance. You don't find all these things on budget phones. So you're going to get a great performing device. And that's really why I'm reviewing it today in 2019, because I think you can get a great performing device with a fantastic display on this phone. Now, there are some things that are just okay, like the camera. So the camera is okay. It's not great. It's better than some of the $200, $300 budget phone cameras. I definitely think it's better than some of those, but it's not really up to flagship standards. So I wouldn't compare it to the Google Pixels of the world or the Samsung Galaxies of the world. I still think it's a notch below those cameras, but it's still very good. So I will say that. So it's not going to be a camera you're going to hate, and I'll actually have some pictures that are going to come up here of my beautiful daughter. And I've gotten some decent photos off it, so I am happy with it, but in low lighting and things like that, it's not perfect. So keep that in mind. It's good, but not great. And the battery life is the same. Also good, not great. It's a 3,000 milliamp battery. It's actually slightly less than the LG G6. So the LG G6 had terrible battery life, and it had a bigger battery. So you might think it would happen with this, right? Well, not necessarily. I think the G7 actually has a better battery life than the G6 from my experience using it. So I've been able to get through the day with the G7 on most days. Now, if I'm using it like crazy, maybe I wouldn't get through the day. But most days, I get through just fine, get through the whole day, no problem. And yeah, I think most people will have the same experience. Even with a device that's this old, if you buy it used like me, a year old, you will have some wear on the battery. It might be slightly worse. But for me, I have had no problems with the battery, and it's been just fine. Now, if you are buying this used, I would recommend not just to you, but to anyone buying a used phone to download the AccuBattery app. Now, this is not a paid infomercial or something, okay, people? This is me just trying to help you. This app actually tells you your battery health. So as you charge your device 4, 5, 6 times, it'll start to tell you the average health of your device with a percentage. So If you're at 95%, great. You're at 93, 94, you're still pretty good, right? You just don't want to have like 80% battery health, and then you know you're losing a significant amount of battery from your device, right? And then at that point, you might want to get it replaced or something like that. So I just wanted to recommend that app to you that might help you as you're trying to manage your battery. Now, the next thing I do want to talk about is the speakers and some little extra features. So I mentioned this speaker before, and it's some pretty cool technology, really. Is essentially when you put the LG G7 down on like a desk or something, it uses the vibrating technology that as the sound vibrates through like this table here, it will actually be a lot louder. So you can get a louder speaker with this, with laying your phone down on something, which is a really cool thing. But I found the speaker quality isn't fantastic. It's, again, don't get me wrong, it's better than a lot of mid-range phones. A lot of mid-range phones don't have dual speakers and stuff like that, so it's better than a lot of phones, but it's still not perfect. So that's a lot of things about the LG G7. So it's up to flagship standards with being lightning fast, and flagship standards with, again, not just the performance but the display. But a lot of things, the battery's good but not great, the camera's good but not great, and it has a lot of things like the speaker good, not great. So that's why, for me, I think a lot of people are going to find this phone is worth it for a low price point. But if you're finding it for $500-600, it might not be the best value for you. So yeah, the speaker is, again, good, not great. It does have fast charging. It does have water resistance. It does have NFC. So you can get all those fancy perks on this device, which are very good because, again, for me, I bought this phone for like $150, and I don't want to buy like a Moto G7 that's $300 and not get all of those perks. So definitely a good thing to see on the G7. So it holds up very well, I would say, in 2019. Now, one of the cons, I would say, of this device that I found is the software. So with the software, if you're very familiar with Google software at all, and maybe you're not, maybe you're just an average human being, Google releases software updates, and as they release a big update, it'll have a lot of fancy new features with that update. And each phone typically has about 2 years of software support to where you'll get 2 big updates on your phone. Now, Google, their phones are a little unique. A phone like the Pixel 3a or the Google Pixel 3, those phones will get more updates, and not only that, they'll get them on day one. So the second they're ready, they're out, and they come to the phone and you get it. But phones like LG, Samsung, they take a little longer to update their phones. Now, LG is notorious for taking longer than longer. They take a very long time. And not only that, but to be honest, their software just stinks. It's awful. And I mean, I don't know why they thought it was a good idea. We're on Android for a reason. So I don't think there's a lot of people out there that want all their apps just crammed on their home screen. A lot of people want the freedom to be able to use different apps at different times. So I think their software is awful. I definitely don't like it. And there's not a lot to say. I just don't like it. They really need to redesign it like Samsung did. And as far as updates, they're also notoriously bad with updates, with security patches. They're bad about having updates. These big updates come in a timely manner. So that's one of the cons of this device. Now, a lot of you don't really care about the latest and greatest Google updates. A lot of you are perfectly fine with being a little bit behind. And if you're like me, I downloaded the Nova launcher, which is a launcher. It cost me like $5-6 to get all the features of, and I could customize really my home screen and everything the way I wanted, and I could have it work the way I wanted. So that can help you with that. So should you buy this device, and what type of person should buy this device? Well, if you're someone who values performance and display, and you literally want to find a used phone under $200, you need to buy this device. If you value performance and display, and you don't mind a camera that's just good, or you don't mind a battery that's just okay or good, if you are someone who just wants a good performing phone for a good price, And maybe you find this for $300, maybe even $350 brand new, then I'd say it's a pretty good buy. But, this is a big but now, but if you find the LG G7 for $500 brand new, I wouldn't buy it. I've seen the LG G8 on sale for $500. So I definitely wouldn't buy it for $500. I wouldn't buy it for $400. Honestly, I don't even know if I would buy it for $350 brand new. You got the Galaxy A50, you got the Pixel 3a out for $400, and the Pixel 3a performs about 80% of what the LG G7 does, but the difference is it has better updates and it's got a better camera. So I don't even know if I would spend $300 on this device. But I could tell you if you find it brand new for $250, maybe $300, I'd still say it's still a decent spot. But you find it new for $250, $300, or you find it used for under $200, like $180, $170. I'd say it's a great buy, especially if you want a good performing device with a good display, and maybe you want water resistance and stuff like that. You want NFC that doesn't come on a $300 phone brand new. It's great for people like that in 2019. Now, who should not buy this device? Well, you shouldn't buy this device if you want the latest and greatest. Like I mentioned before, you shouldn't buy it if you find it at a bad price. So make sure to look in the price ranges that I mentioned. And I also wouldn't buy this if you really want the best camera. If you really want the best camera at a good price, you should probably buy the Pixel 3a for $400. In fact, I've seen it go on sale for like $350. And if you find it on sale for $350, even at $400, the Pixel 3a will have better software support and a much better camera. And it'll still perform admirably. The Pixel 3a doesn't have water resistance, but it does have a headphone jack, it does have NFC, and it's got great software. Still a pretty good display, and a fantastic camera. So the Pixel 3a, I do have a review for that as well that I have left. It's not quite as good as this review as I've updated some things, but keep that in mind as an alternative. So I hope this review helps you decide if this phone is worth buying in 2019. Just keep in mind the price points, and if you want the latest and greatest, just get the LG G8 when it goes on sale. That's actually something that goes on sale around $500 here and there. And for that price point, the LG G8 is a really good buy for how it performs. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my page. We would really appreciate it. Like this video, and please as well, another way to support us is going to facebook.com/theandroiddigest, and also you could visit our website at androiddigest.com. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.